All right, thank you. Okay, I call to order the regular meeting of council for Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. I'd like to start this meeting off in a good way by acknowledging that we are gathered on the Treaty 8 First Nations territory in the homesteading presence of the elders and the ancestors of Treaty 8, and that through this acknowledgement we extend recognition and respect to the BC Treaty 8 First Nations and all of those who call the Peace Country home. I'd like to move on to recommend that council adopt the July 15th, 2026 regular council meeting agenda. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Wall. Thank you. Discussion regarding items on tonight's agenda. I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor? And that is unanimous and carried. Recommendation 4.1, that council approve the minutes from the meeting dated June 24th, 2026. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Woodall. Any errors or omissions to be noted? I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. Recommendation 4.2, that council approve the minutes from the committee of the whole meeting dating July 8th, 2026. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Woodall. Errors or omissions regarding those minutes? I'm going to call the question then. All those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. Introduction of late items, there are none. Public hearings, none. Delegations, none. And unfinished business and business arising from the minutes, there's none. Moving on to our new business. Quite a full agenda this evening, gentlemen, so let's begin the conversation. Moving on to item 9.1, I'd like to recommend that council receive the report titled Agricultural Water Use Comparison, dated July 15, 2026, for information. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Woodall. Discussion.
Thank you to staff for preparing this report. It seems like the 3 properties that are considered agricultural are not actually hooked up to our municipal water system. And it seems like in times of drought, if there are severe water restrictions, people can still find water. Obviously that doesn't make sense for a large agricultural operation, but for folks with their own personal vegetable gardens, they can still seek that route or have a automatic shut-off device. So it seems kind of like a fine line. Anyways, in regards to the province's memo that they had sent out for ensuring that agriculture isn't cut off during a water restriction situation, where do we stand on that in regards to our current water bylaw?
Steph.
Through your worship, the structure that's currently in place for water conservation measures by contract is with the City of Dawson Creek's water conservation measures, and those are outlined in the report itself that basically say there's some more agriculture friendly provisions that are included in stages 1 through 3, but in stage 4 there's a little bit more austerity, hand watering, as Councillor Rebel says. The province in their letter identified expertise, of some of their regional representatives that could engage with local governments in finessing their water conservation measures bylaws. So if council wants to take the province up on that, or perhaps have the village's bylaw, or perhaps begin the conversation with the City of Dawson Creek about their bylaw, that's an option that's available to council. I didn't read the province's correspondence from last meeting as a request of sorts. It was more of an offer of assistance if it was of interest to the village. So I think it's a resource that's available for council if they wish.
Councilor Wall.
As outlined in your report here, Mr. Malcolmson, it says that our current agricultural producers are not hooked up to the village water supply system. Does our bylaw still apply to the people who aren't using the village's municipal supply?
Which bylaw, sorry?
Our water conservation bylaw.
If they're obtaining it through bulk purchase via the City of Dawson Creek, then yeah, it would.
Okay, so there is an issue there, but it's with them, not us. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Councilor Rebel.
I know that we've got quite a lot on the docket. I think this should be in the back of our minds as we discuss water in the future. And I think that even though this can't really be done, I think that it should be noted whenever an agricultural property connects to the municipal system. I think this conversation should be, rebroached at that time. I understand that that's impossible. That might be in 10 years, 20 years from now. But anyways, I appreciate the work with this and the diligence with this. It sounds like it's currently not an immediate thing, and I appreciate that. So thank you.
Well done. Wonderful job, team. I'm gonna call the question, and all those in favor? And that is unanimous and carried. Okay, moving on to item 9.2. Anybody like to take that away?
The council award the RFQ 2026-02 up to North Construction Limited in the amount of $63,118.62, including applicable taxes, and approve an additional project budget of $20,000 from the Growing Communities Fund to complete McNabb Park Ball Diamond Dugout Replacement Project.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Johnston. Thank you. Discussion? I would just like to start off before you go, a huge thank you to all of the staff that have worked really, really hard, not only gathering the information needed, but I know that all of you have been working very, very closely with Mr. Meisey to make this happen as well. And I know that Mr. Meisey has put in a large portion of work as well, trying to get this to happen. So a huge thank you so much to both of your crews for all of the work that you guys have been putting in. Please.
Sorry, Your Worship. I did just notice a typo because I was drafting the contract for this afternoon. I think it's plus applicable taxes. The 63 is not inclusive of taxes. So slight adjustment there, but it's the GST amount is about $66,000 or something like that.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Wall.
I would like to amend my motion to say $63,118 plus additional taxes.
Seconded by Councillor Will. Thank you. Councillor Wall.
I also want to send out a big thank you to staff on this and the grant applications and working with Mr. Meisey and Iron Wolf to get the stuff done. I know the dugouts in those fields have been needing some work for a while. One of those dugouts isn't going to be really repaired, it's going to be replaced fully, it's just gone. But I'm really happy to see this moving forward. So.
Yeah, I think ever since the windstorm blew it clear off in the middle of winter there, the crews went out and tore it down. And this is a good example of us leveraging some grants. Council said through the financial plan earlier this year that they would contribute $20,000 if Iron Wolf was able to contribute $20,000 in kind. Iron Wolf appointed the NDIT Recreation Infrastructure Program out to the village, which was we were successful in applying for, which was $26,950. So yeah, we put it out to quote, got those three prices back. This was the most competitive one, and yeah, we're just hoping to top up the budget slightly to get this over the finish line. So thank you.
It sounds like this is being funded through various grant money pots.
Yes.
And then the other question is the timeline for completion. Can we look forward to this being completed this summer or this fall?
The bid sheet. I'm sorry if I'm stealing you.
No.
Chad's been knee deep in this thing. Here
I know, he's feeling his thunder.
Well, the bid sheet that was submitted said that it could be completed in 2 weeks. I presume that Up North has other projects on the go right now, so once they wrap those up, we'll work to schedule that for the fall.
Wonderful job. Okay, any other questions or comments? I'm gonna call the question then. All those in favor? Of the amendment? Yes, all those in favor of the amendment? Thank you. And then, I know, oh my gosh, she's
That's the
messy.
merits of the amendment.
Long agenda.
There's taxes?
I'm totally having a moment.
Now we have to go back to the motion.
You gotta call the motion.
All in favor of the motion?
Motion to amend.
With the amendment.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I was like, you threw me right off. I was like, wait, what? All those in favor of the motion as amended? Thank you. Unanimous and carried. Holy macaroni. All right.
Was that wrong?
And it's too early in the evening for this business.
Macaroni, it's the
I know,
macaroni.
Macaroni. Off you go, Councillor Wall.
I want to split this next motion into multiple motions, if that's all right with you.
Yeah.
So I would like to make the motion that council complete the RFQ process to invite contractors to bid and complete the drainage improvements within the village.
Can I get a seconder?
Second for discussion, yeah.
Seconded by Councillor Ravel. Now that's the drainage improvements in the amount of $95,000, right?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm just wanting to clarify. Councillor Ravel. You seconded it, or?
I seconded it.
Yeah, so you wanted to speak by the sounds of it. You were looking at me with eyeballs of, I have questions.
Fair enough, I appreciate it. Anyways, so that's the first point, the drainage improvements, 95,000, and yeah, this is part of our capital plan. Like, this is stuff to move forward, so.
Just a quick question for, Chad. So these drainage improvements, does this include the culverts that we had looked at over on Elevator as well?
One of them,
One of them.
yes.
And then that additional, we're hoping that will change some of that.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, no, just wanted to double check that, thank you.
And just to clarify, this is in line with the master plan that we had for drainage, like, that was identified with like community where we had to replace culverts and where we had drainage, like, I guess bottlenecks. This will help improve that drainage and build the community.
Through your worship, we had a fun meeting a few weeks back where we printed out the old drainage master plan, like the draft master plan that was prepared by Urban Systems, a number of the, like 50% capital improvement plans for water and for sewer, just to make sure that we were cross-referencing with those. So yes, this is in alignment with that and did inform that. Chad did make a heat map a little bit earlier this year of some of his most stressful stress points over the winter. I'm not sure if you wanted to rehash any of your flashbacks from that.
Yeah, so, if you guys don't mind, as you guys seen, we had a few fun weeks throughout the freezing and thawing. So what we did is we looked at a few of those areas that gave us troubles with flooding and that, and we used that information. I took and compiled a map of any areas that we had flooding, recurring flooding, we brought that to a higher level on that map. And then we used that to kind of help reference this as well and kind of pick where we were going to look at replacing culverts, where we were going to add culverts into the drainage system, try to improve there as well.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing that as well.
My question through you, Mayor, is replacing the one culvert sufficient in the event that there's a potential future paving of the road? Because if that were to take place, I would prefer to replace all the culverts on Long Elevator that need to be replaced before that project gets to.
So on Elevator itself, there's currently none that cross on, what should I say? There's one down in Carling, but there's none from the Carling Road to 53rd where the current pavement stops.
Yeah.
So this will be adding one culvert at that 53rd intersection, and then the next nearest culvert's closer to the highway, a couple hundred yards.
Oh, okay, so if the next thing happens, then we're good.
It'll be totally fine, yeah. It was a really cool meeting. Mr. Malcolmson stuck a map on the wall, and me and Chad were in there with our little markers and pens. We had a great time. Yeah, awesome. Any other comment or question? Okay, I call the question then. Oh, no, sorry.
So with your heat map, I got my brain going. So with your little heat map that you have there and being able to target, hot spots basically and problem spots, this will work in the future too, so that when we come up next year for capital improvements and capital planning, then we have real-time data essentially from that previous year where our hot spots are, because as we replace culverts, it's going to create new spots as we work our way down and back out of the town to alleviate that pressure.
Yeah, correct, and that's something I kind of want to try to map going forward and see if our improvements are making the appropriate changes and making sure we're getting the value out of it.
Yeah, because I know our urban systems thing, it's coming up on like 7-8 years plus, like it's coming up on age, and that was at that point in time, and we've been working steadily each year and improving that, so yeah, it makes sense. So yeah, thank you for that work, and looking forward to being able to plan for future years.
Through your worship, the urban systems work, there were several valuable schedules that were included in that plan. There was a neat schedule that kind of showed their estimated kind of groundwater flows throughout the community. And Chad has kind of, as I say, mapped his stresses. He's kind of, shown the different spots where, you were most stressed about flooding, over the winter and stuff like that. And I think that's something that we would probably redo after every season, just to say, okay, which spaces were we the most stressed about? 51st, it seemed every time there was, we got to 10 degrees or 15 degrees this winter, we were down at, just behind the redwood there, getting really, really nervous for a couple of houses. So that's what we're trying to target in part this year, but up on 53rd is a pretty stressful situation. conservation too, so we're just
Well,
trying
and
to.
then we're really hoping that by adding that additional drainage, it will alleviate some of the bottlenecking that we had going on, yeah.
Eliminate even some of the overtime and extra time that you guys have to put in, you know, Duncan this year was putting on coveralls and he was digging too, so, you know, and the more we can eliminate staff time and overtime on that too, the better it's gonna be for the operations.
Yes, Councilor Wong.
So part of the recommendation that's in the agenda says that the 51st Street repair be deferred for consideration until 2027. Would it be more helpful to you guys if we did that repair as well?
You mean this year?
Yeah. If it's super stressful and it's getting close to a couple of houses.
Well, I know, if I may, I know in the meeting that we had that we were thinking of some of that's due to bottlenecking that was going on. And so that we've been looking at those areas that were bottlenecking and trying to see if we can alleviate some of that.
Oh, so this may have been with the new.
Well, and that's a resurface, I believe, that's recommended.
Yeah, sorry, there's lots of this report going.
We're doing like 15 things at once.
So, the culverts themselves will actually happen on 52nd Street and 51st Avenue.
Okay.
And then we're talking about resurfacing as well on 51st Street, so there might be some confusion.
Oh, street versus Ave.
Yeah, sorry, there
yeah,
might be some confusion, like, so there's lots of moving parts in this report.
You're talking 51 Ave, I'm thinking 51 Street.
Yeah, sorry.
There's a couple
That's
of,
my
there's a
apologies.
couple of things in response to your question as well, though. We did run the report past our engineers before we gave it to you guys, because we, with the principle of like, we only want to dig once, you know, we don't have the capital improvement plans done, but what do you guys think you're going to recommend in the future? And they did tell us that they anticipate some subsurface work around 51st Street in the particular spot that we're talking about in the next little while. But the other reason we have this in here is because Chad and I were kind of like, you know, reflecting on how late in the year we're presenting this to you guys, and we want to tee ourselves up for a little bit less stress, you know, during the budget process this fall, and to make sure that we've got good numbers to kind of feed into the budget for next year. So that's part of the reasoning where it's like, okay, if council isn't uncomfortable with some of the items later on, it could triage to do some of these things, you know, in a future year, and then we can just kind of plug that into the budget instead of worrying about, you know, the 250, you know, kind of scattershot approach.
Okay. I'm gonna call the question then, all those in favor? And that is unanimous and carried. Councilor Wong?
I make the motion that council complete the RFQ process to invite contractors to bid and complete the scope of work for sidewalk improvements and identify and complete those repairs.
And that's for the amount of 40,000?
Yeah, it's in the thing.
Yeah, can I get a seconder on that? Seconded by Councilor Johnston, thank you. I have a quick question about this actually. Well, you make the motion, do you have a question?
I'll let you go first.
Thank you. So the sidewalk improvements, I know that we had talked about that there are a few areas, I know we've been struggling with heaving.
Yes.
And so is it those heaved areas that we're mainly targeting?
Yes and no.
Okay, that's where I was a little bit confused, yeah.
So I have put out a package for multiple areas, I think 12 areas if I recall correctly. I totally understand and trying to respect budgets here, so I understand we're not gonna complete all 12 areas. But I have put out that RFP for that. So my plan and my goal with that is get a cost, hope for the best and do as much as we can. We'll start with the main trip hazards and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
Then move on from there to the broken sidewalks and.
Yeah, this is- okay, so we've got the heaving, the breaking, okay, and then separation and stuff, okay.
Separation, settling.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Councilor Whittle.
So with part of this improvement, because actually it was something that was highlighted to all of us when we did the wheelchair challenge this year, is how, for lack of a better word, crappy it is to get around Boots in a wheelchair, and we only went from the school to the office and a little bit downtown. So will these sidewalk improvements take that into consideration while you guys are doing the improvements to make them more accessible and easier for people that have mobility challenges?
Yes, so that is my plan, like, perfect example, these ones that are on the screen here right now, they're just enough of like a 2-inch lip or a 1-inch lip that, enough in a wheelchair for it to bind up and catch, so the whole purpose of why I went to RFP versus an RFQ on this was to leave it to the contractor on giving us options on how to fix it, whether raising and leveling, replacement, grinding.
Yeah.
So trying to get us the best value and the most amount of repairs that we can.
Okay, wonderful. Councilor Wall.
I was gonna also bring up the wheelchair challenge. And
Yeah.
something I noticed during that challenge was the narrowness of some of the sidewalks in the village, where I was in a slightly different model. Like there were a few different types of wheelchairs that we were using when we were doing it, and I think mine was just ever so slightly wider, like where the wheelbase was, and I honestly probably only had 1 inch to 2 inches between my on that side. I hit the ditch into my
It
twice.
has nothing to do with the fact you're at the dentist an hour ago.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with it. But my curiosity is there the option to maybe widen by even just a small portion, like a foot?
I would be very interested in that. The only downfall to that is you can't just do
Two
a couple
corner
of
sheet
chunks.
slabs,
It's
yeah.
a whole street at one, or
Oh yeah, that's
sorry,
right.
a whole block at one time.
Yeah.
Where some of them need to be go down a picture there. Further that one on the right there, like that one for example, there looks like it just needs to be replaced.
Yes.
Yeah.
So like in a replacement type situation like that street, is it possible that we could say, hey, can we make these sidewalks an extra foot or two wider for accessibility?
Well, I'm sure there's a standard, is there not, for, right, so
There-
wouldn't
there-
it just go to that, would you just go to that, whatever that engineered standard is?
Subdivision would have, often we try to draw our guidance on some of these projects from subdivision and would have a standard for the width of the sidewalk in most particular spots. This job that we have in mind, I think, is largely a patch job. It's just how can we kind of eliminate the hazards that we see rather than trying to overhaul and replace a whole section of sidewalk.
Yes, Councilor.
I appreciate the conversation about the standard of the sidewalk. I understand that this is simply just fix it and make it work for now with what we've got. I imagine that we're following, and I mean no offense by this, but a minimum basic of the minimum width, the slopes and inclines and all this, just to get it by. But of course, other communities do have wider sidewalks that promote more pedestrian travel, make it more comfortable, because you can barely do 2 people on most of these sidewalks. It would be lovely in the future, of course, because this would be expensive, to have wider sidewalks. My understanding is we must be following some sort of standard, and whatever standard that is, that could be something that we look to in the capital improvement plan as well in the future. My actual question though is, I had heard 12 areas for is 12 areas for 40,000, or how many areas of sidewalk improvement for 40,000? What does that get us?
That we don't know yet. We hear numbers back from them. I suspect we're not even going to be close on the 12 areas. I just picked the worst ones I need to be and hoping for the best.
Oh, you're $12 for a bucket of hydraulic cement. We just dump hydraulic cement across it all and hope it rains. Problem solved, right?
Environment Canada, no problem with that.
All right, any other questions? I'm gonna call the question, then all those in favor? That's unanimous and carried. Okay, Councilor Little? No. Councilor Wall?
What if I do?
Nothing.
I would like to make the recommendation that council discuss the paving of Elevator Road.
Are we not gonna do the small patching or the carling? You wanna do elevator first?
Discuss the paving of Elevator Road and Carling.
Patching.
And patching of Carling.
Okay, can I get a seconder?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Wall, thank you. Whittle, I'm doing it again.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, no. I'm sorry, yes, Councilor Whittle.
Alright, so I would, I guess, I'll put it up there as, for discussion as an option A, because it would be nice if staff could bring us back some options of looking at doing a full paving on Carline Road, or Elevator Road, sorry, a full paving of Elevator Road versus a half paving. The reason why I want the numbers for, or I'd like to see the numbers for a full paving is if we spend, say, I'm just putting out a number, but if we spend like 400,000 this year to pave half of it, and then we have to pay for all the equipment to go away, and we have to pay for all the equipment to come back next year, and chances are, like everything else, there's gonna be increases in cost come next year. I'd like to see the numbers, because it might make more sense for us to do a budget amendment. Myself, Councilor Wall, were kind of chatting about this earlier today. is it would make more sense to potentially look at doing a budget amendment, spend a little bit more this year, but in the long term, over the next 2 years, it would save us, you know, quite a few $1,000s. And then the other one is, I know everyone wants to get Carlisle fixed where the railroad crossing isn't a CN issue, ultimately, but if we could potentially, you know, if it's not gonna delay it too much, if we could potentially line that up with the existing paving work that's already happened, then we're not again paying for crews to come out and flaggers and demo again. So just be able to bring back our options, what it is if we piecemeal it out versus if we just do the budget amendment and we do it in one shot. And then the other part of that is it would, I know we have some aging equipment and stuff that potentially has to be replaced where we're looking at asset management. And when we look at the asset management for replacing that piece of equipment at, you know, arguably around $500,000, we can replace one piece of equipment for that, or we can do some paving work, which eliminates the need for that piece of equipment that we have to replace every 25, 30 years, versus a road we have to replace every 25, 30 years, and I think we'll get more use out of the road than we will out of an aging piece of equipment that, you know, arguably doesn't get used to as much as, you know, it did in the past. Now the majority of our roads are paved and with modern equipment options.
So, okay, so what I'm hearing is you would be interested in the staff looking into the two options, the paving for half and the paving for the whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you're also tying in the portion of
If it's
asset
possible.
replacement,
Yeah.
because the asset is coming up to be
Yeah.
replaced.
Just bring back some options for us and see option A and option B.
Okay, can you put that recommendation on the floor, please?
Yeah, so I'll make the recommendation that staff bring back two options, full paving and partial paving of Carlisle Road, including asset management for the grader, or elevator road, sorry, and the patching for Carlisle.
Okay, can I get a seconder on that? Seconded by Councillor Wall. Is that explained thoroughly enough? I don't want there to be any, so that would include also taking out the rail line and paving it at the same time, is that correct?
Just the portion of the road.
Well, yeah, just the portion of that line, am I understanding that correctly? Cause in here, we have the Carling Road crossing as a $45,000.
That's correct.
Okay, so you would just be rolling those two, are we thinking that we'll save money on that 45,000 because the equipment's already out?
I think that's the logic.
Yeah, that's the logic, if we've already got the equipment there and mobilized, it makes sense just to pave that entire road and potentially fix that crossing while the paving crew's already there, the excavators are there, because every year we do this, and we ran into this with the lagoon too.
Yeah.
We paid for equipment to mobilize and go to site, they got to work for 2 months, then we had to pay for all that equipment to leave, the next spring we had to pay for all that equipment to come back, and by the time they came back next year, we were flat out told that there's going to be a cost increase. And I think I don't remember what the exact number was, but there was still a cost increase to us, and so it cost us more money over 2 years.
$200,000.
Versus just doing a budget amendment, running a little bit in the hole this year, pulling a little bit out of reserves. Because over the next 2 years, it could save us, you know, potentially anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000, which, you know, in our little community goes a long way, right?
And so when you bring back those two amounts, can you include rolling that Carling crossing into it?
Can. I think we previously engaged with CN like over the last few weeks on, and actually consistently for months, that you know, the repairs that needed to happen at Carling Road were an emergency and it needed to happen immediately. So
even if they cut it out and we're gravel for a few weeks until the paving crew's out, it's not the end of the world.
I think that unfortunately would still have us mobilized twice, where we would get the contractor to site, they would be throwing down gravel, smoothing out the intersection, and then we would be coming in later with the pavers. So there is that challenge that we would have, but
If you give it to us as options with and without it, then.
Councillor Wall. Councillor Wall.
Yeah.
Councillor Wall.
On the Carlin Road issue, CN's gonna hate me for this, but I'll just say it. There's a little blue sign there.
Not anymore.
Oh, they took it down because they took down the crossings. There was a little blue sign there. If you look up emergency contact for CN, that is for improperly maintained infrastructure. So if you get your car stuck there or you bottom out, call that number. It goes directly to the manager of Rail Traffic Control for CN International. If you call that 1-800 number and that guy gets enough calls, I'm sure it will get fixed.
so I think like the pin could drop at any point here. I think with CN, we had lined up a contractor. We do have quotes that have been provided to CN and largely have been accepted by CN. And like, I think we're quite close to there. So there might be cost savings in doing the full shot and paving later on. You know, it's hard to see where exactly those chips would fall. But, you know, based on the urgency that I previously understood on this thing and, you know, how close we are to it, I feel like it might be good to, you know, keep
Yeah,
the same path with Carlin.
Yeah, I'm
That's just an
hesitant
opinion.
to hold off if we're so close to getting it done. Yeah, Chad.
Yes, just so everyone is in the loop, I have been in talks with CN here in the last few weeks. The first proposed date was the 20th, which would be next Monday, and the next proposed date was the 27th, which would be the following Monday that they are looking at doing the crossing. Potentially.
I'd much rather have it done sooner rather than later, yeah.
Okay, I'll make the recommendation that we go ahead with CN to fix the Carlin crossing.
I mean, I got two
There's
recommendations.
a motion on the floor.
Oh wait, we're discussing.
Yeah, we're discussing. So the thing is, like, with the two options, like, you know, if it happens, right on. If it doesn't happen, throw it in as an option, right?
Two options, are you referring to full and half?
Yeah, like if you throw Carline into it right on, if Carline happens before you get to that point, then so be it. Like, it's not a make or break to throw Carline in, honestly.
So the option 1A, option 1B, option 2A, option 2B.
I think there's simpler recommendations.
Just A and B.
No, that's fair.
I'm thinking we make the decision to move ahead with Carlin Road, get that fixed, and we have option A and option B for Elevator Road, which
Yeah,
would be half and full.
yeah.
And include in the full portion, the removal of the grader as an asset included in that calculation to see what our cost benefit analysis would be.
We can get information back to you folks on that. Again, I think I think, you know, we pull from grant funds to fund, you know, our annual paving program. So you're kind of making an asset management consideration against one-time paving expense. So the idea that there would be a statement that would be, you know, demonstrated, I don't think it would be as, you know, clear cut or as folks might intuit it. But all the same, the report can very easily speak to, here's the asset management considerations that are present with Elevator Road as it presently sits. Like the calcium application that Chad does annually, it's a few $1,000. You know, the grading that we do, you know, total
Maintenance of the grader.
repair, yeah, there's that too. So like we can throw that in there and balance that against the full shot of you know, doing the road.
I have two questions. One, can I have the recommendation that's currently on the floor read back to me, please?
The current recommendation is that staff bring back two options. Full paving is done on car lane versus a half paving comparison, and includes asset management for elevator and car line.
Yeah, so it should be elevator, full paving on elevator, sorry.
Yeah, make a,
But we can eliminate Carline out of there, I'd be fine with that.
yeah, I'm fine, still saying.
Okay, are we making the amendment to remove the Carlin Road patching?
Yeah.
And just having it skip to elevator?
Yeah.
Can you please repeat the full motion for,
So what you just read out, take away all the Carline stuff.
and make it say
I
elevator?
think it's the elevator.
Full and partial paving of that.
Now, my second question, so if we were looking at going with the full, which is close to $1 million, okay, we do have a few, like we have gas tax, which is around $1 million, and we have the community works fund.
Correct.
Can we, and both of those funds would be available to help cover the,
I think gas tax is the community works fund. They
oh yeah, right, they rejig them.
You might be thinking of the growing communities.
Yes, I'm thinking of the growing
No, I
communities.
don't think it is eligible for that.
So it's not eligible for growing communities, but it would be for gas tax?
That's correct, yes.
But then that would use up all of our gas
I
tax.
would, yeah, I wouldn't be a good employee if I didn't bring back funding options for you guys if you asked for
Yeah.
it. So I'll definitely, Josh and I will collaborate and bring you guys back some information on how theoretically we could make the full shot possible in 1 year.
So then that leads to my next question. So if we go forward with the recommendation of bringing back the two quotes for full versus half, while you are gathering funding implications, the RFQ would still go out so we can get an idea. I just don't want to slow things down too much.
If you guys wish it, we can do it. As I understand Councillor Woodall's words, like in his motion there, I don't see that you guys are wanting us to go to tender or to RFP or to RFQ, but we're happy to do that and get pricing to kind of support our argument.
That's
I'm all
this is-
because
this
to
is
me,
why I'm
so
asking
just
very
let me clarify,
specific
so with my motion with bringing back options,
Yeah.
like, I want, like, quotes and that, so like we actually know what it's gonna take. So just for clarification, that's what I meant by it.
Yeah.
So like in my mind, that includes the RFQ in there, right? And having quotes on it.
This is why I'm asking very specific questions.
No, because yeah, to my understanding, that would be included in bringing us back option A and B, because how can you get those numbers without
I
going
know
out?
the cost without getting the cost. Yeah.
Yes, Mr.
Chad's seeming a
Malcolm.
little quizzical, I think he's got a good question for us.
So my only fear with that is by the time I build an RFQ for it and get it out, I don't know if we'll have that for next council. Would you guys be open to me reaching out to one contractor just right now, get you guys the figure?
Get some
bring it
numbers.
to tender after?
I think bringing some numbers back to us and at least have something.
I just-
I'd be okay with
It is
that.
a- it
If
is a
you
contract
give
that
us
we've worked
one
with.
written bid and then we could open it up
That sounds fine.
after that.
That sounds
I just worry about delaying it by another potentially 4 weeks.
Well, that's why in my mind it includes some quotations, because otherwise you're just making up fairy numbers and,
Yes.
you know, we need some real numbers.
Okay, so, just for clarification, one more time, can I have the full recommendation read out for the council again, please?
Yes. The recommendation that I have amended since was last requested is that staff bring back two options to compare a full paving on Elevator Road compared to a half paving. That includes asset management for the road.
And then I needed to say within there something about also allowing staff to go out for the RFQ.
Or obtain contractor
Or
pricing.
obtain contractor pricing.
Yeah, there we go.
Are you accepting that?
Yeah, because
And then
sometimes
who's-
it's
Still okay,
implied
And
that
you're
they
still
don't-
okay seconding it? That is the recommendation that is on the floor. Councilor Rowland,
Ask
thank
for a
you so
quote,
much
you
for
can.
waiting. You may ask your question.
Fair enough, thank you. I'm assuming though that we can reach out and that's within the purchasing policy, just for a quick quote.
Reference, yeah, and that's actually, not to belabor anything too much. The pricing that we do have in the report that's in front of you was run past and provided by a contractor. So we've got fair confidence in it, but we would run that pricing again just to make sure that we're correct. We didn't run pricing on the full shop, so that would be helpful.
All I'm getting at is, of course, as we move forward with this process, we're in line with our own purchasing policy, I understand. So, obviously, we're talking railway, I don't know if the opinion, though, I know Carling is.
Elevator.
Oh, frig, now everyone's got.
Sorry.
Elevator.
Elevator, we're on the conversation of elevator, we shouldn't forget about Carling, because I think we
Yeah,
should
that's
keep that
that's
separate,
not-
I know that's coming next, I know, what I'm getting is, I've gotta know what you speak, cause you guys have gone back and forth. Carling's important, we should keep it separate, let's not wait on that, let's not dick around, let's get it done. Elevator sounds really interesting, it sounds like there's actually, although I'm not the most on board with it, it sounds like if we spend money on fixing it and paving it, we can also then potentially save on greater gravel, staff time, calcium, dust control, and maybe the equipment timing doing the full job. We'll have to see, I'm excited to see the results of that, that's why I'm interested in seeing this move forward.
There we go.
Okay, all right. Any other questions or comments on the recommendation? I'm gonna call the question, then all those in favor? That is unanimous and carried. Okay, next recommendation.
I make the recommendation that council directs staff to proceed with the repair of Carling Road crossing in conjunction with Canadian National Railways at the quote received of $45,000.
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Rabble. Thank you. Discussion? Councilor Rabble?
This is all dependent on the timing of seeing them to remove the rails, and then because it's our road crossing, their easement, we're responsible for the paving and road bed and all that stuff. That's why this is the way it is.
That's, through your worship, that's CN's argument. We've indicated to them that we're happy to move forward on whatever repairs, but we're probably gonna do so under protest. Because, we don't know that the apportionment that they're identifying for the village is entirely fair, given the state that the rail is in and stuff like that. So we're just gonna figure it out and we'll work with all parties.
Fight with them after. I like that, yeah. Yes, Councilor Will.
Arguably the rail has been there longer than the road has.
Yeah.
So, it's remediation of the.
Yeah, it's grandfathered into
Those
there.
rails went through our road.
Actually, that is the only road in town that was there before the rails.
Well, they argued the railway came out.
Yeah, the railway-
32 came.
Well, there was way already.
The
Oh,
railway
yeah.
came before the highway, it came before everything else that did not come before Carling Road.
Lydia Tremblay made that road.
look at the old maps, it's still there. What I was going to say about it is, just because we're paying for it now, doesn't mean you can't send CN the bill and see if we're paying.
I'd be.
Yes, Councilor Rebel?
Random question though, is Carling Road and Railway or Elevator, is that still a truck route? Is that still an alternative route for the highway? Like, how does that work? And then that leads into
Well, this
the
has been such a
grade bed and all the
such
paving
a fun
requirements.
investigation,
Yeah.
yeah. Both of them were biting at it, like, you've been looking into this, yeah.
We got,
Again, I don't wanna take Chad's segment away from him, so you just jump in at any point, but, this was something that was brought to our attention initially. We did ask Ministry of Transportation. They didn't have anything immediately available to them that indicated to them that it was an industrial road. We did check the Industrial Roads Act. To our knowledge, this is a road that's entirely under the purview of the village itself. When we checked subdivision to see if there's any kind of road thickness or specifications that might require us to pave it to a higher standard. That's a question that we ran to the engineers in prepping this report, and they replied back to say that, they couldn't find anything that was, unique about that portion of road. Moreover, the recommendation in here is to pave it basically to the same standard as the preceding portion of the road, right? It's not that, north of 53rd is, some kind of,
special spot.
yeah, and that, the rest of Elevator isn't, and it's not to besmirch anybody in the past or anything like that, it's just, sometimes the, facts, as you're aware of them, sometimes you get different information, right?
that's funny, cause we've been given that, like, you're the first staff we've had in that seat to say, yes, we can do it. We've had 4 other people over the years bounce through that seat, and it's always been a no, historically it's been a no because of that, so that's awesome that, it's within our purview and we can actually potentially.
Everybody-
If somebody knows,
You know what, just do it.
Don't think any more trees. You asked all the right people.
To Chad, I said, if we get somebody barking down our tree, it's just send us. Yeah, exactly. Send us give us a check, and we'll be happy to do it to your standard. Right?
Yeah.
But the Industrial Road the Industrial Road argument, I feel, would service more than just Goose Coopy. So I feel like there would be, it's not for the sole benefit of Goose, in my view.
This is why Chad was so upset.
We had meetings with ministry,
We did, yeah.
So you've done your due diligence.
Oh, yeah, they have checked with everybody.
That's the reason, like, it hadn't been explored in the past, and we kind of just written it off because we were told that it was gonna be, millions, like.
Multi-millions.
Multi-millions.
1 million is still pretty rough, but
The way
multi-million is.
The way oil is trending right now, I wouldn't be surprised if we got some pretty high prices back when we shopped this out, but, I don't think it'll be to the crazy standard that was.
It's still cheaper to do it in one shot.
Yeah. Yes, Councillor Wall?
Out of curiosity, so when the ministry did the traffic study for the crosswalks that are approved, they also were sitting over there. So I'm like on Elevator. I'm curious because historically, speaking of in our ministry conversation in 2023, was it at UBCM? It came up about that being a truck route, and they were talking about grain elevators requiring heavy load access, and we said, well, there aren't any. So I wonder if it got changed sometime between that conversation and now.
Possibly.
Because they might have sent somebody, when they did the study, they might have sat over there and went, there are no grain elevators, and looked for the trucks, and there were none. And
Didn't one of you guys, when we met with Minister Farnsworth or UBCM, wasn't that one of the side conversations I thought one of you had with
Yeah, it
their
was.
staff?
yeah,
Is
to
that
try
road.
to get that non.
Yeah, because we were busy talking about complaining about the Taylor Bridge and talking about our blinky lights, but I think one of you two had the side conversation about that as well.
Yeah,
One last beat is conflicting obligations here. I was surprised by the feedback we got from our engineers, where they said basically, well, we've reviewed subdivision, and subdivision has a standard that all roads and crews are paved, so you better follow your own bylaw. So it's kind of funny.
so maybe we have to go with the.
Did it have a 100-year timeline for compliance?
That's very interesting. Well, thank
That's the last
you
one.
to both of you for all the work that you have put into this. That Elevator Road has been something that we've been wanting to get done for a while, but the price tag was originally far outside of what we could manage. So I know the residents will be very, very happy to, even if half of it ends up getting paved, they'll be happy, honestly. So wonderful job. Thank you guys. Okay, I'm gonna call the question, then all those in favor? And that is unanimous and carried.
Carling's getting fixed.
So,
Well, in the next 2 weeks, it seems.
Hopefully, I can keep on track.
So, we do have the paving small patches here for 20,000. You need that approved as well? No, no
What page
worries.
is that on again?
So that
At the bottom.
is page 6.
there's one for 70 and then there's one.
I'm reading option. Oh, I should be reading option 2, sorry. So yeah, so under option 2, which was recommended by staff, there's the drainage, the sidewalks, paving, small patches, Carling, and then paving elevator road.
I'll make the motion that council direct staff to pave and fix small patches throughout the village
In the amount of,
in the amount of $20,000.
I get a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Johnson. I gotta recognize them every time we do it.
Yeah, it's because your head looks that way.
Okay, yes, Councilor Rebel?
Sorry, what was the difference between the one in both option 1 and 2 that's, or well, option 1 is 70,000 for small patches and then
Option
for,
1 didn't include the elevator road.
Oh, it was. Okay. So 20,000 gets all the regular bits and bobs.
Yeah,
and
that's
pop
our
holes,
patch.
kicking around.
Yeah, well, the theory behind was we pave a few patches, do the big portion, and then continue on with patching and hopefully eventually start replacing roads. With, again, respect to the budget, we raised the option of patching, and if we're gonna drop the elevator road portion, if we're gonna do the elevator road, we decided as a whole that it made more sense to drop the patching portion, just to respect the budget, and then continue with the patching next year. But the 20,000 should take care of any significant patches that need to be done this year.
Okay, any other questions? Yes?
We're about to approve another 20,000. The amounts that we've approved, are they all within our current budget for improvements, capital, whatnot?
So yes and no, when we're looking at the elevator road portion, that's the outside of. So that's something that is definitely outside of our
Well, that's
original.
that's quotes right now. I'm saying
Yeah.
like tonight we're sitting at, 100 and something thousand, right?
We had a $250,000 capital improvement budget.
We're
You want a
about-
high five me? Like air high five me.
and with this point, so we're sitting at, 135,000 just over the last 2 previous motions, we're about to add 20, that pulls up to 155,000, so we're still good within our budget, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Just confirming before we start saying yes to
No worries.
everything.
Yes, Councilor Wong?
This may be off topic, but I do have a question. It's regarding the overall larger theme. So the Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure have approved both crosswalks. Now we put $80,000 aside for those infrastructure improvements, but they are going to pay for them fully. Is it possible that we could use some of that money that we've already set aside to do the crosswalk project and move that towards the elevator road? Or sidewalks,
Or patching?
or patching, or even the Carling Road crossing? Could we use?
My joke to Chad, you already spent that, didn't you? No, yeah, that's very fair. I can't remember the funding source for that particular contribution, but it's all very likely to be able to repurpose for infrastructure like that.
So if I remember correctly, and I have to go back to budget and double check, but I thought we were looking at spending some accessibility money on the crosswalks because we wanted to make them accessible. So could we not take, if that is the case, and we're looking at accessibility money, could we not take that and put that into, say, more of the sidewalks to make the sidewalks more accessible? And that potentially give Mr. DeVoe another, depending what the portion was, but potentially up to another $80,000 for sidewalk improvement.
There were accessibility grants that I think council had identified and discussed during the budget process, January, December, as a potential cost offset or a means to leverage the $80K that they had put in the budget towards Blinky Light. But with Province taking on that portion of Blinky Light, we didn't apply for accessibility related grants for those particular improvements. There are still some grant streams that we've been eyeing for post office ramp and a few other things, but again, it's just staff kind of thing.
So, okay. And it was just a comment.
Okay, all right. Yeah, no, that might be be something that we can look at, but any additional comments from,
Chad did just remind me.
I was like, he just messaged you. Please read what he said.
We still have to defer 51st Street.
Well, we have noticed, on that heat map for drainage over the winter that, you know, an unfair amount of water seems to have been, navigating in a weird way, down Highway 2. There's, one thing that we have discussed informally is doing a fix or a bit of a repair or a clean out of some of the culverts along Highway 2 to make sure that the water is flowing a little bit better, next year, but again, that's, we've had our discussions with the province about the extent to which that's a village problem or not.
Versus a highways problem, yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, our office is the one that gets lights
And we're the ones that get flooded.
When it affects our
Yes.
residents, right?
That was something that we had looked at, was cleaning those out, the one over by the store particularly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, that's one of the things that we suspect is exacerbating some of the issues on 51st right now, because a lot of that water is turning to the left there as you're headed south on Highway 2.
After we're done this recommendation, actually, can this body, if you're comfortable with it, make a recommendation for staff to look into how much that would cost to clean it out? It's just the back truck that we're looking to have come in, right?
Correct.
And a road closure permit for the highway and
Yes,
flaggers and.
yeah,
And maybe a camera or something like that. to
Yeah.
inspect the property.
yeah. Okay, because that was something that, was identified in our overall capital infrastructure plan when we had our meeting.
Sorry.
No, there is. It's
Yeah.
small
Yeah. So, okay, any other question regarding small patching? I'm gonna call the question then. All those in favor? It's unanimous and carried. I'd like to, are you doing it?
We have one more to do.
Well, hang on. I'd like to put the recommendation on the floor that staff look into potential costs for cleaning out, that drainage along Highway 2 that, has been noted as a pressure point for drainage. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wall, thank you. Yeah, that was actually identified. There is an area there. I think Mr. DeVoe had mentioned that it had been cleaned out before at some point in time, and then that made a large difference, but because it's right on the highway there, it gets a lot of that gravel and stuff within that basin that's in there, and then it creates constant pressure points. So if we can back that out, we actually might be able to create more flow. So, did I explain that correctly?
Yeah.
You were so good at it during the meeting that me and you had had.
There was a catch basin right on the sharp corner, where the concrete blocks are. That has been a bit of upgrades made in the last few years and some replacement. We did do a bunch of cleaning in there. Potentially, I'm gonna quote out a back truck option, but I'm also gonna look into a flusher truck that will actually kind of flush that and fill at the same time, versus just a back where they can just reach solely.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't truck specific. I don't know everything. Yeah.
As it's Modi infrastructure, could we, I understand it's Modi infrastructure, but the impacts of it
Send in the bill.
are an issue for the village.
Yeah.
There's no ramifications if we do work on their infrastructure, is there?
Not to my knowledge. Like it's, you know, yes, potentially there's a, you know, a challenge of, okay, we're working on, you know, their assets, et cetera, but I think practically speaking.
Or we can turn around and point at them and say they're being negligent. You know?
Well, they're, you know, from our perspective, they're not maintaining the asset, right?
And then it's also creating pressure points within the assets that are ours.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So,
I just want to make sure we don't
Recommend
do
it.
it and then get in trouble.
yeah, no, we've got a perfectly good map that Chad has that proves that that's a bit of an issue.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Duncan. In the conversation we had with Ministry and Argo, they was kind of the recommendation was, here you guys go, you guys deal with it, you clean it, and
Send them the bill.
You're so adorable.
We can always try. Worst case scenario, they don't pay
We
it.
had extensive email communications with them in like November as well, where I think the conversation was, you know, can you demonstrate to us that this is ours? Provide us with a piece of paper, anything that says that this is ours. And it was kind of.
It's in the highway.
The
The Ministry of Highways, it's the highway.
Well,
Can we not? Okay, fine, we could have done the crosswalks.
the argument back is that, okay, well, you know, civic, you know, infrastructure, you know, connects to, you know, the village system, et cetera. You know, typically the, you know, municipal corporation corporation be responsible for maintaining it? But the reply I effectively got back eventually was prove to us that it's not. I'm just like, okay, this is.
Yeah, it's a circular game, so.
It's just easier to.
Yes, Councillor Ravel?
Yes.
So our pathway here is basically allowing staff to reach out and figure
Yeah.
out a plan, and then it comes back for approval for a budget, and we can get this work done before, say, the fall, before the
Yeah.
summer. It's like, that's
Well,
the ideal, right?
There was that conversation about that money that we're not using on the crosswalks, and I saw the light bulb go off in Chad's head.
There's other
so-
highway problems.
There's other highway problems that are technically.
Getting crossed in a puddle.
That's right, so, I'm thinking from the light bulb that went above Chad's head is actually, we do have something that we could funnel that into, so.
There's a drafted email that I drafted at 3 o'clock this afternoon that's waiting to go to
There you go.
people.
Oh, he's very excited. Yes, Councilor.
I just want clarification on what I think was said, which is the Ministry of Highways wanted clarification that they own the highway.
The infrastructure coming off the
Clarification that
highway.
the infrastructure under the highway.
Yeah, below it,
And
it's
the
there.
responsibility for maintaining.
And then when they provided it, then they said prove that it isn't. Like they wanted that it is, and then they wanted that it isn't.
Prove that it isn't ours.
That it isn't, yeah.
Drain basins that run in the curb and gutter along the highway is not their responsibility, it's the village's responsibility, even though those drainages solely drain the highway and that's all they drain.
Yeah, it was, yeah. It was a
So we own
circular-
under the highway?
So get your highway off my land.
Different conversation.
All right, gentlemen, I'm gonna call the question then, all those in favor? Thank you very much. If you would like to move forward with the deferred then?
Yes, I would like to make the motion that council direct that the 51st Street repair be earmarked for council consideration in the 2027 financial.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Johnston. Any discussion? Yes.
So basically, we're saying 51st paving, because it's really broken up, we're kicking that for next year, and then we'll figure it out then, but also we're having to consider, different drainage and other underground infrastructure. Don't put something fresh and then have to carve it up.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're getting at.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the strategy, and I think it makes our lives a little bit easier to try to put stuff into budget. We can say, okay, we have a general idea where we're going next year, instead of this is a bit of a Frankenstein report, a bit challenging for Chad to write, but he's trying to do multiple things at once, estimate,
You did very well.
trying to compete with multiple plans and priorities, and trying to get it timed for, completion this year. Usually you have that spread over multiple reports, but here we are hashing it out, so cool.
Okay. I'm gonna call the question then, all those in favor? Awesome, that's unanimous and carried. Thank you, gentlemen, that was a very large, conversation, and we will get it going.
Yeah, that's right.
Chad's already hit send.
Did we get a resolution to the Carling Road crossing?
Yes, yeah,
It was,
we
move ahead with it.
we gotta move ahead for the car.
That's
That's the
We
end.
gotta move ahead for the carving, the grading improvements, sidewalk improvements, small patches, the look into the elevator A and B option, and the defer for 51st.
Thank you. Which one? I'm so sorry
As
to
well as
be.
the one that we just finished talking about, the truck coming in and backing out the drainage.
Flashing back. Yeah, thank you so much. It's just, I can't seem to recall which one the Carling was a part of. Was it drainage? Was it,
It was his own separate thing.
Yeah.
I was sleeping.
I have that council directs staff to proceed with the repair to Carline Road and Creek Crossing in conjunction with CN Rail at the quote of $45,000.
Well, I know, your brain,
Yeah.
done, Justin's just killing it, awesome job.
Excellent work.
Okay, perfect. All right, gentlemen, awesome job, let's move on to 9.4.
That council authorized the mayor and corporate officer to execute the 2026 school trustee election cost sharing agreement between the corporation of the village of Pooskoopi and the Board of Education for school district number 59, substantially in the form presented.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councilor Whittle, thank you. Awesome, yes? Councilor?
I believe we've done this before. I assume this is what has been done in the past.
I think that this has been a
Yeah.
pretty consistent thing for a while now, yeah.
So we just host it together in the gym, and people get to vote for the trustees, people get to vote for council. This meets, I assume, all the legislation and requirements.
Maybe more people show up to vote if they all voted for the same
Well,
different things.
the RD usually has a vote that has the regional, like area B the referendums in there as well. It's all done in one shot.
Yeah, at every municipal election I've, voted, and it's always been together. So.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions or comments? I'm gonna call the question then, all those in favor? And that's unanimously carried. All right, moving on to 9.3, that council support the Village of Poughkeepsie's application to the New Horizons for Seniors program for up to $50,000 in funding for a seniors transportation voucher program to be delivered in partnership with Step Up and Ride as a pilot program add-on to the Poughkeepsie Better at Home program, seconded by Councilor Wall. Just before you say anything, this is a conversation we've had around this table for about 3 years. I'm extremely excited. Mr. Malkinson was a very huge push behind making this happen as well. Very much like when we did the Better at Home the first time and we ran it as a pilot. The reason why I need to run this as a pilot is the exact same reason. I need the data so I can present it to Northern Health. The overall end goal is right now the senior center in Dawson Creek has 2 running buses that are sitting parked up at the seniors care facility up there. And if we can collectively prove to them that there is a need, my hope is that they will begin allowing Poughkeepsie access to those buses that are just sitting up there. So that is the point behind the pilot. We were running it the same way that we kind of ran the Better at Home pilot the first time. I just need the data.
Like the seniors aging in place pilot?
Yes. Yeah. Same system. I need the data so I can take the data to Northern Health and get the thing that we overall want. So thank you so much, Duncan, for all of your work on this. Yes.
And there's the potential for this to lead like a twice weekly bus service for people to get their groceries or
doctor's appointments
or what doctor first? Well, you need doctor. Maybe buses isn't that for everything.
But no. This is step one. As I said, I never, the issue with running pilot programs, they do eventually end. I always get nervous about that, but just making sure the public understands this is a pilot, just like the seniors aging in place was, so we can collect the data to use it. So don't avoid using the service, use it so I can get the data that I need, or whoever, if it's me in this seat, great, or whoever the next person is, so that they can have that to bring it forward.
I love this idea. I think it's fantastic. It's basically to move people between Pouce and Dawson, seniors and folks that don't drive. So who's running it? Is it Step Up and Ride who's dealing with the dispatching, or is it through community living, or I guess hypothetically the village office?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Step Up and Ride has an existing program within Dawson Creek that actually 2 residents of Poughkeepsie currently participate in. I was informed by Step Up and Ride to receive calls and do dispatch. So they have a scheduling service that they run there, and through a fee-for-service agreement, we would set up a contract with Step Up and Ride to run the pilot.
For the voucher estimated cost, reimbursement, whatnot, $30, does that cover the cost of the ride, or will the rider also have to put in some money towards that journey?
Through Your Worship, that would be fully covered for that cost.
Cool. And then I'm assuming, however they do it, not to get in the nitty gritty, if they're sending a bus, 12 seats or 20 seats or whatever, they're probably going to try to fill it, not just doing it for one person at once. I don't know. I'm curious how they're actually going to make it work.
Through Your Worship, there's a couple of program configuration options that are available. The conversation that I had with Step Up and Ride, they do have an on-demand service. They also do have a regular schedule. I can't remember the name of the partnership that they have with Rotary Manor, but there is a daily program that some local seniors, Dawson and Pouce, I think, run, where they'll be transported to Rotary Manor to hang out with some friends and meet up for a few hours, and then be transported back at the end. So there's the on-demand model that I think is available, accepting some of the school runs that Step Up and Ride normally does through the school year. That limits their hours, I understand. But yeah, there's a couple of different options there for seniors to participate.
Cool. All right, perfect. All those in favor? Unanimous and carried. I'm very excited. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
I imagine with that too, that we'll put public notice will go to people that are already involved in our seniors aging in place, and then we'll put public notice out to other seniors and let the Legion know so that they can let their members know, because they have quite a few members that might benefit from this as well.
Absolutely, Your Worship. It would be the same kind of shtick. We would reach out to folks that are currently participating in the Better at Home program and let them know that there's an add-on. If we're successful with the grant, we'd let them know that there's an add-on, and we'd reach out to other seniors in the community to see if it's of interest to them, for sure.
Perfect. All right, moving on to 9.6, fire hall feasibility engagement for discussion. Can I get a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Wall. Councillor Wall?
I really like option 2 because there's the potential for an ambulance bay, BC Wildfire to utilize the facility. We can get that decontamination bay that we're going to need to get eventually anyways. And looking at the costs, it seems to me that a retrofit of our current hall wouldn't necessarily get us enough that we need for the next 25 years. But and that expansion portion of it really, we can get that ambulance bay, we can get the decontamination, we can get that training space going, all these sorts of things. And we already have an agreement with the Peace River Regional District that they would cover the design costs.
That's correct.
So instead of beating this down the road, my personal perspective is that today we authorize the
New deal.
design number, that we go with number 2. Why would we say number 2?
Stuff with a good bill too.
Well, we could do all that with a new bill too. Just 10 times the cost.
Through your worship, that would be accelerating the our understanding of where council's at, and that's not to say that we want to slow anything down, but which is tradition from my position, slowing things down. But where we understood we were at in the process was that the feasibility study would be presented to council along with a booklet that council would authorize to release to the public, soliciting any kind of feedback or comments or
This
questions.
needs to go to the public, yeah.
And then
Oh, yes, of
once-
course.
Oh, sorry,
I'm
I
saying-
misunderstood your comments there.
No. Okay, so maybe I misspoke. What I would like to see is, I personally think option 2 best reflects our situation. And I think it'd be best if we went to the public, instead of with an idea sheet, what do you think? If we showed the public our design and went, here, this is what we're trying to do. This will help us when there's wildfires. This will help us when there's an emergency in town, and all of these sorts of things, and talk about the BC Ambulance Bay, talk about the BC Wildfire being potentially coming to us, all of these sorts of things, and show them the building. Because I know when it comes to the fire hall, there's always a lot of there could be problems with public perception on what's going on. So to actually show them a model of what we're talking about might take away some of those fears.
Councillor Little?
Yeah, when it comes to public feedback, I'm kind of with Councillor Wall, like I want to see what public feedback is, and it'd be nice to say, hey, these are the options we have available, but option 2 is what council's recommending that we go forward with, if that's the way the rest of the table feels. I think it would be good to at least put it out there, so let the public see like what the options are, they can see, keep as is, 2 point whatever, right? Because realistically, whatever option the community decides to go with, or this council goes with, is really, it's gonna lead into next year, it's gonna lead into after the election. This is a long-term project, right? So it's gonna queue things up for the next council. But I think putting it out there to the public, saying, hey, these are the options we were presented with, council recommends option 2, then everybody kind of knows where we sit, and then we can see if there's any feedback to the contrary, because one thing I've noticed with public feedback within this community is when we do get it, it's never on, hey, this is, these are your 3 options, which one do you want? It's always when we say, well, this is what we're looking at, then we get feedback on, once we've kind of picked a direction, we get people that'll crap on it one way or the other. So if we at least say this is kind of the option we're looking at, then it's nobody saying, well, they're looking at building a brand new building, spending, $6 million, when really, no, we're looking at utilizing the building that was built in '09 and adding on to it to meet current standards and safety requirements for right?
Yes, Councillor Wall?
So my worry, and I mean, straight up here, my worry is if we present this as it is, it might make some people think we're going to tear down this 15-year-old fire, which is not going to happen. It reminds me of just before the previous election when there was a survey and one of the options was shut it down.
That's the most community feedback we've ever gotten.
You know what I mean? I don't wanna end up in a situation like that, so I think if we do bring this out, we go, we're looking at option 2.
Yeah.
And this is what the design of an option 2 would look like.
So, I just have 2 things, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, one, there's a spelling mistake on here, just so you know, I know. It says, why this study, a main focus of this study is firefighter to review ways to preserve firefighter.
Firefighter, well, we have one at least.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a spelling mistake in there.
I didn't write that.
So if there's a prize, right here, thanks very much. The next thing is, while I can see the hard work and the dedication that has been put into this by staff, I do find it too wordy.
Right.
I'm gonna be totally honest with you, I didn't even read the whole thing, because it was just, there's so much in there that I found a really difficult time.
So do we want less length, do we want shorter?
I'm thinking, even if you keep the information as it is, because I think the information is great, I think you should almost use eye-catching infographics to suck them into reading more of the information.
Right.
Because that's what I struggled with. I also understand that there is 3 options, so there's a few things in here. I know that we are wanting to provide them with cost estimates for all those options. Right now, we're just looking at the feasibility study, which is being funded through the PRD, because Leonard of Area D has the most interest in seeing this being put forward. But I felt that one, it seemed too concrete that it was going to kind of happen, so I was a little bit worried about the language that was being used in there. And yeah, I just found it really wordy. So if there's a way that we could sort of cut down some of the points, but also add some of those infographic bubbles that are really getting to the meat of what we're trying to say, that pulls people into wanting to learn more.
And your worship, I'm also hearing that we want to accentuate that option 2 is council's, not only the recommended option in the study itself, but that option 2 is council's preferred option. Is that something that we want to gear towards as well?
You guys, I'm afraid of even having a preferred option. The reason I am hesitant is because we don't have $1.8 to $2.6 million to build it. We just don't. So I'm giving a preferred option with invisible money feels really not very financially sustainable, I guess, is my thing, but that's my own personal thing. So I'm going to go to Councillor Rebel and then you, Councillor Little, but please finish.
No, you go. It's more valuable from you guys.
Yes.
So the Peace River Regional District, specifically Area D, had put $250,000 towards the feasibility study. Is that this, or is there design? Are we needing to move in another direction? We still have cash from the RD to move towards something else? Just want to clarify that. Are we done with that money, or do we still have some?
Feasibility study is after this public summary thing. We did a summary thing, the strategy being we would send it out to residents of Pouce saying, hey, we're embarking on this pathway to talk about what the future of the fire hall looks like, given some current needs of it, etc. The feasibility study itself is provided immediately after this attachment on the agenda. So it's the many pages long kind of, that's the right there.
Is that $250,000?
No, that's 50, and the idea is that there's $200,000 still held that we would be able to put towards detailed design.
And then also public engagement. Remember, we were very specific about including that within that.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilor Whittle, thank you so much for waiting.
I think it's important if we do put this up to the public that we, as a body, say this is the option that we're most in favor of. Just because we're saying we're in favor of it doesn't mean that it's going to go ahead because we're in favor of it, barring funding sources and revenue. But the thing about it does is it gives some certainty now. So now if the regional district's looking at, say, picking up part of the bill or half the bill, they know what option we're looking at and where we're at. The public knows where we're at because God knows unless we come out and specifically say we are looking at option 2 at this time for moving forward with a sustainability study, then when it comes back for design, well, we're going to get feedback from all over the map from the community, right? And if we don't pick a stream or a channel, the community is gonna assume. And
They're
the
going
way-
to assume we're tearing down the fire.
And that's the thing, and the way the community goes with rumor mills, the lack of people actually looking into stuff where they only read the headlines and then react off headlines or off, council builds a new fire hall is gonna be the headline, but it's no, council recommending option 2 provided funding sources.
What do you mean we're getting a new time zone? Have you heard?
We started on that.
You know how much I dislike that. Anyway, but I think if we don't, so I had to slip it in there. But if we don't pick a channel, people are going to assume that we're tearing down the building and everything else. And from what I've seen from public feedback, even from when we have put stuff out, like on different social media sites and from people I've talked to, there's a lot of concern that when they hear we're looking at a feasibility study that we're tearing down a building that's not that old. Right, so I think if we firmly say, again,
Upgrade. Instead of
we're looking
fire
at
hall
upgrading,
upgrades.
we're in addition to it, but we're looking at utilizing the existing building and then adding onto it or upgrading it to meet current standards. And that's been our push when we've looked at this right for the last 5 years we've sat on this board, or we've sat here, Danny. That's one of the things that we've looked at and we've had the conversations with, even when there was the talk about potentially closing it down or upgrading it. The community came out and said that they would be more in favor of spending a little more money and upgrading that hall versus losing it, because with the status of that hall, it saves everybody in this community minimum of $500 on their property insurance for fire because of the classification that the fire department has. If we do not move, or at least look at what our options are to move that fire department forward into the next century, where now it's affecting everybody's insurance, it's affecting the safety of the fire department and retention of the fire department, which this day and age trying to get volunteers. So if we at least pick and say this is the option we're most in favor of, barring funding, then at least we have a goalpost that's set. Right? If the community comes back overwhelmingly and says, no, we want a brand new building, which I can't see happening,
They're
then
not
we
going
can
to
always
close it
pivot.
or build a new building. So they're going to go right with option.
I think option 2, the recommendation, is what we support moving forward.
Yes, Councilor Rabble?
So my understanding then is this grader document, this briefer document is the one, so they're both gonna be released, right? But this first grader document is like a summary document. And we could tweak it just a little bit to clarify things that, maybe we put a large arrow beside expansion saying like council preferred option or something instead of, and then the funding stuff, maybe that, when somebody looks down here for the big price tag, maybe we have something that says, funding dependent and all these other caveats, right? We could surround it with
That's where those
caveats.
info drafts kind of come in, yeah.
For the browser folks, right?
And it spits out pictures.
So I guess my question to you, Mr. Milkinson, is if this council went forward with a preferred option, is it easier for you to just, I don't want to say redo the document, that's the only word I can think of, but rejig it based around just that one, rather than still providing the 3 options?
Then I think so you certainly could. I'm trying to think of the implications here, because if you did, the communication would probably read like, council is proposing to add on to the fire hall, when I think that, in my view, seemed a little bit more presumptive than, hey, council is, assessing, what potential upgrades to the fire hall could happen. There's probably a way I could write it to say, hey, this is what we have been evaluating. We're still trying to be ready for grants as they come up and proceed to a detailed design of option 2, because it seemed the most effective. And we did a study, it's over here, but this is really what we've looked at over the last few months. You can kind of tell the story would kind of shift from the study itself and summarizing the study more to, here's, we've recently looked at, the fire hall, and we want to make sure that we're ready for opportunities, so we're headed towards, evaluating options for expanding on it, or expanding.
I don't know if option 1 is really an option though, because option 1 doesn't solve the problems that we're facing with the current building.
And option 3 is way out of the price.
I know, and that's why I was asking if it could be rejigged.
I think it still needs to go out to the public for transparency purposes. This is the report as is, this is our recommended option. I like Councilor Ravel's or your thing of, let's highlight what our option is, or even rejig, this is our option, this is your other option, something along those lines.
Pardon for interrupting, you guys have given some fantastic feedback. I've got the consideration of the wording of upgrade in the document. We've got that it's wordy, and we've got a few things. Justin had a way more concise, and I'm like, well, it's not enough. Somebody won't know, and then I just come with that. So I appreciate that.
Could we publish the gray document and then provide a link to people on our website for the remainder of the document? Because I think if we send everybody a 90-page document, no one's gonna read it.
Absolutely. So at the bottom, at the back of that document there would be a QR code. Somebody takes a photo, takes them right to the study. But then the other feedback is pick a lane, aka let's emphasize or nudge that we want to do option 2. And we also want to emphasize that the object of this thing was grant readiness. You know, it's not that we're trying to build a new fire hall, or that Blair's going out there with the shovel or the backhoe next week, or and then a larger truck. So emphasizing the graphics, but put a large arrow on council's preferred option and add some graphics in there.
So then,
those are all fantastic bits of feedback, to be honest.
with that, Mr. Malkinson, I personally, like, I'm not prepared to, go forward with having this sent out. I would like to see what you bring back. I know the recommendation is to, you know, allow the authorization and the release of the booklet, but at this point, I would like to see what
No,
you.
I wouldn't blame you. That would be an entirely different approach.
Yeah, okay,
I wouldn't be summarizing the feasibility study and be emphasizing, you know, the development story that fire hall.
okay, yeah, yes.
Alright, so 2 things. One, this is already publicly available. Anybody can
Yeah,
go
it's
to our
public.
website
Yeah.
and see it. It's part of our minutes tonight anyway. So it's already publicly available if people care to look for it. The other part of it is much like when you wanted to build your playgrounds and we told you to go find money for it because we weren't spending tax money on it. Where you had to have an option, you had to have a package saying this is the option you wanted to go for. To go to the oil and gas companies, go out to the funding sources. It's no different with this project. We need to pick an option and say this is what we want, so that when we start looking at stuff like private partnership or sponsorship from the oil and gas companies, because they do support our fire department, they might be able to kick in, or going for grants, going to the regional district, going to, you know, the other people that have an interest in it. We need to say this is the option we want, right, so that they can look at it and actually make a decision, because as we found out with the playground, saying, oh, this is option 1, 2, 3, and people look at the $3 million park, they go, oh crap, but they look at a cheaper one or add-on or renovation like we're doing with the playground, so I see it kind of in that same process.
Same lane, yeah.
If that,
Yep. You had your hand up.
Yeah, so the gray one's our document, we can muck around with it. The design works one, obviously we just gotta release it as is, it is what it is. The other thing too is, for background and summary, the other suggestion I have is, this is good, like the stuff for the more detailed folks who really wanna get into it, that's fine. But I would suggest just bullet points of the facts as plainly stated. In 2024, 25, the PRD gave POOS this, you know, 250,000 to do feasibility. You know, we have to do this assessment because in the future and currently we have requirements for fire safety, you know, how our operations are conducted, so on and so forth. I would design that, you know, first, second page for the person that's just come off of an 8 or 12-hour shift who just wants to get the quick summary. Most people, unfortunately, don't read the whole thing. So, and I love it, trust me, I love this document, it's a good thing. But I would just kind of do the bullet points as well. Just state the facts clearly. For the person, imagine it's the person who's come off a shift and they have not watched any of the meetings and have no idea what's going on, and they just want the Coles notes, right? That's what I would suggest.
Yeah. All right, so it sounds like, sorry, you're gonna bring something back to us then?
That sounds great.
Okay, one last question, then we're gonna move on.
I really do think it'd be good if we started the design phase of option 2, so that when the grants become available, just like the park next to the office here, we needed those designs for you to be able to apply for those grants.
Yeah. How do we get shelf ready for this project?
That's the whole point, yeah.
one last question for
Okay.
staff before we go. Do you need a motion from us saying that we endorse option 2 for you to move forward?
I think we did that already.
I don't know if we actually, but we didn't
There's
vote.
been no
It
recommendation.
was just, it was a recommendation. It was
I
just-
recommend that council endorse option 2 for staff to move forward
Sounds good.
with, what should I say?
The report.
With the report, and say that council favors option 2.
Okay, that's been seconded by Councilor Whittle. Discussion, so that just means that you're just gonna bring back a report based off of.
Yeah, try again, kind of, like
Yeah.
but with a bit of a different approach.
Yeah, I got a lot of feedback, so.
All right,
And I think it's a very well done report. I don't wanna do this.
Very well.
all right, may I call the question then? All those in favor? And that's unanimous and carried. Great, thank you. Okay, moving on to correspondence. Actually, can we just take a quick break? Sorry, I just need to take a,
Your boss, your worship.
yeah, we're just gonna take a quick 5-minute break, thank you.
So is that louder for the camera to hear?
They can cut that out.
Turn off the video. Your fault.
We're not, whatever.
Hey, so just to highlight, we made it to the NCLGA newsletter.
Yeah,